Well, hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the Fair Catch of Football podcast. I'm your host, Emilio, and today I'm riding solo. My co-host, Tyler, is not able to be here today, but there's way too much going on in the football world for us to wait a week to talk about it. Tonight's show is going to be a little bit shorter, but it is going to be jam-packed, super sweet, and we are ready to get into, what could possibly be the biggest week one in college football history. So we're going to talk about that. Some big news that has dropped in regards to the NFL just today. We're going to talk through that. And now that preseason is wrapped up, we are going to give some fantasy tips and tricks to wrap up tonight's show. So I want you to sit back, get ready, and let's talk all things football. Let's not waste any more time, though. Let's jump right into some college football. It cannot be said enough. We are walking into probably the greatest week one of college football in college football history. And though there are amazing games scattered all throughout the weekend, it does feel like one game is eclipsing everything for the weekend. And that is number 1, Texas versus number 3, Ohio State. This game is huge. It is going to be just something that is going to affect the landscape of college football going forward for the rest of the season. And so I am pumped. I have to tell you that both myself and my co-host Tyler, we are both Texas fans. So you might feel some Texas bias from time to time, but we will do our best to put college football first and to give you honest takes, not just fan takes when it comes to Texas football all throughout the year. With this game, there's so many things that people are waiting to see. And just as big as this game is the debut of Arch Manning. Now, we know Arch Manning has made a few starts before when Quinn Ewers went out last year, but this is his team now. This is his show. All summer, all spring, he has had the reins, and he's been the guy there in Austin. And so we believe that we're going to see something different. This is what's interesting. And I was thinking about this and talking about this a little bit earlier, is that all the arguments you can make for one side of the ball, for whichever team, it feels like you can make the same argument for the other team. This is what I mean by that. You talk about how Arch Manning, this is his first time really taking control of the team. Texas has some amazing weapons led by Ryan Wingo. 2 backs that are just incredible with Wisner and Baxter. Just a crazy 1-2 punch. However, starting 4 new offensive linemen. Right, so there's going to be some questions there. Brand new quarterback, though Arch is incredible and showed some really great things. Some people could say there's a lot of question marks around him, and it's hard to argue that because we don't have a lot of tape on him. Now, he went out against UTSA and chopped it up, used his legs, scored some touchdowns. He went out, I believe it was Mississippi State, and did some things. He had that running touchdown against A&M. So he has seen real deal SEC football, but then some of his biggest highlights from last year were also for some teams that he should probably have some pretty big highlights against. You feel what I'm saying? So there's that thing. Now, you could take everything that I just said about Texas and Arch, and you can put it on Ohio State. They're starting new linemen as well, a quarterback who this is his first time starting, some crazy talent on the outside. They did graduate 2 amazing running backs, and so their third string from last year is now moved up to starter, but that's a natural progression. This guy got recruited by Ohio State. I mean, he's no joke, but you start talking about Julian Sayin and what he is and what he could be, and the same way that some people could say about Arch, there's a lot of question marks. I would say there's a lot of question marks around Julian as well. We don't know. We really don't know. And only time will tell. The one thing that we do know, though, is Jeremiah Smith. And Jeremiah Smith is a dog, right? And so I will say that whenever Texas and Ohio State were able to match up last year, they held Jeremiah Smith to one of his lowest games. But we've also graduated a lot of people on our defensive back for Texas, right? And so we're losing a lot of leadership. Luckily, Michael Taft is still back there and some of the other guys. But here's what I think is the key to the game. There's 2 things that I think are going to push over the edge. And I don't just mean this fan bias, but this is what I really feel is going to happen in the game. Number one, Texas's front seven has to show up. Texas's front seven, led by, Colin Simmons and also Anthony Hill Jr., they just have to stuff the run. They have to be able to play less guys in the box, right? We have to be able to carry that extra safety, go to that nickel or dime package when necessary. We need to be able to, have some good zones or double team whenever we're in man, or have that free safety help. Whatever look is being put out there, we need our front seven to show up. We need a good pass rush. We need to make Julian Zane really uncomfortable, force an interception or two. There has to be a turnover, here, a takeaway by the defense. Whichever team can force that turnover is going to probably come out on top, because this game is going to be very, very close. But if that front seven can show up, stuff the run, put some pressure, make the young guy make some bad decisions, it's going to go really, really well for Texas, because I do believe that we're going to score points. I do believe that Texas is going to have the ability behind that Steve Sarkisian offense that is all run first, play action, misdirection, motion, see what kind of coverage they're in. And if we get things rolling, and with both of our running backs, if our line can just make a little bit of room and our running backs can break, it's going to allow Arch to use his biggest threat, which is the amazing deep ball that he has. Now, last kicker here with this game before I give you my prediction is Matt Patricia. One thing you should know about me, and I hope that I don't lose support, but I also am a longtime Patriot fan, and so I know a lot about Matt Patricia. And Matt Patricia was known for going after rookie quarterbacks in the NFL. At one point, there was a crazy stat about Patricia and Belichick and how they were, I think, undefeated against rookie quarterbacks for some time. Just crazy stuff. But this is a new game. This is a new thing that Matt is stepping into. That college football is very different than the NFL. We all know that. And so to see what he's able to cook up, what he's able to execute, and how Texas can respond to that. The other part about that is when you implement something that is very complex, like some of the defenses that Matt Patricia ran with the cover zero, and some of those things that New England was known for. Sometimes those DBs and those linebackers, they're in their head a lot. They're making sure they're getting all their cues right. They're not just out there playing football. So that is something that could be more of a negative. I do have some fan bias. I am expecting for Texas and Arch to come out and do their thing. I know that Ohio State's going to put up a fight. I think it might be a rocky first couple quarters for Ohio State. I hope that we get off to a better start as a unit and that lead carries. But I'm seeing Texas scoring about 28 points, somewhere around there. And I'm thinking Ohio State's going to be somewhere between 17 and 21. And so I'll go ahead and say that I think number one, Texas is going to come out on top by almost a full touchdown and win 28-21. And that's our prediction. I do, before we close out for college football, want to give you what I think is the top 5 biggest games to watch this week. Obviously, Texas and Ohio State, number 1. It's 12 Eastern kickoff, so 11 Central here in Texas on Fox. We have number 4 Clemson and number 9 LSU, and that's a 7:30 Eastern kickoff, so 6:30 here. That's on ABC, and really, this is a time where Brian Kelly could really be in the hot seat. Brian Kelly left Notre Dame because he felt like he could do more at LSU, or LSU had the better chance of winning a national championship. And then LSU has kind of struggled, and last year Notre Dame was in the national championship, right? And they have a good thing going over there. So Brian Kelly's kind of in the hot seat here. He needs to prove himself, and he's playing a Clemson team that is no pushover. They have Cade Klubnik, Austin Kidd, has been there, has grinded it out, and they've really not done the transfer portal like other universities have, and they've made their way back to the top of college football. So shout out to everybody there at Clemson. But that's going to be a great game, so much on the line. Number 6, Notre Dame at number 10, Miami is what we think is the third biggest game of the weekend. This is actually on Sunday. This is a Sunday game, 7:30 Eastern time on ABC. And just going to be a fun game to watch. 2 historic programs going head-to-head, top 10 matchup. Number 8, Alabama versus Florida State. This is a real make-or-break kind of thing for Florida State. Alabama is another favorite by many people to be in that SEC championship, so we're going to see what Kalen DeBoer is able to do there. I personally think because of the rich history that Alabama has, if Kalen DeBoer, their head coach, fumbles some of these big games and doesn't have a season that the fans want, he's going to end up on the hot seat really, really quick. Florida State here has nothing to lose. They had 2 years ago were kept out of the playoff. Last year just fell to pieces. If they could come out and upset a number 8 Alabama, think about what that would do for that organization, that campus, that school. That is a Saturday game, 3:30 Eastern on ABC, and we'll be watching that as soon as we get done with our Texas-Ohio State game. And then also on Saturday at 3:30, we have number 2 Penn State versus Nevada. This is on CBS, Paramount Plus, 3:30 Eastern game. This is big for a lot of reasons. A lot of people in college football actually have Penn State playing Texas maybe for the national champion. There's high expectations for Penn State. So we want to see if they're getting off to a fast start, if they're going to be everything that everybody thinks. There's so many more games that are going on, and like we can't just cover them all, right? But it is going to be an action-packed, loaded weekend of college football. We hope that you enjoy it, and we know we are. We're going to come back next week and talk about all these game recaps, and we're going to see how we did on our prediction with Texas and Ohio State. We could talk college football all day, but some big news has just dropped in the NFL. So let's take a second and talk about NFL football. It's time to talk about the NFL. And let me tell you, this might be one of the biggest stories of the season that just happened today, like literally today. And that is that Micah Parsons has been traded from the Cowboys. Right here, I have this breaking news, right, happening right now. Breaking news, Micah Parsons traded to the Green Bay Packers. Talk about blockbuster trades. Look at this. So the Green Bay Packers get Micah Parsons, and the Cowboys get a 2026 and 2027 first-round draft pick and Pro Bowl defensive tackle Kenny Clark. Can we just for a second... Okay, I'm talking to my imaginary producer here. Can I just for a second talk about how in the not too distant future, another team in Dallas in a completely different sport took a 26-year-old prodigy athlete, top of the sport, untouched, unmatched, and said, you know what we're going to do? We are going to trade that person to a completely different team. Dallas Mavericks, Luka Doncic, right? Like, what are we thinking here? Like, I got the Ranger hat on, right? I got the Texas Ranger hat on. I'm not a huge Cowboys fan, but I try to hold it down for Texas teams as much as I can. I like the Rangers. I like the Mavericks. It was painful to see. Like, what is in the water in Dallas, Texas that is just making people want to just do outlandish trades? Coming off a 12-sack season, like everything that you see or want in a first ballot Hall of Famer, Micah Parsons has been doing is on track to continue to do. Like, what? Okay, listen, my wife and I, we've had some time lately. And when we've had time, we've thrown on the Netflix. This is no plug, Netflix. If you want to pay us for this, please, you can send the checks to me. Just DM me, and I'll tell you who to write it out to and all that good stuff. But we've been watching this cowboy documentary, right? America's Team. And the tagline is a gambler and his Cowboys, talking about Jerry Jones and how he did all these big risky moves in the 90s. He was holding out on Emmitt Smith, and he fired Tom Landry. And look, the guy just likes attention. The guy just likes to do ridiculous stuff. He should have stopped being the GM 2 decades ago. Okay, after their little run and Jimmy Johnson left, he should have just turned it over. He has way too much pride. He thinks he knows what he's doing. Now, I got to give it to him. He's a heck of a businessman. He has made this brand into something out of this world. But it's come at the cost of what? One thing, winning Super Bowls, okay? Like, come on. Come on, you got to know when to hang it up. This is okay. This is what I think about this trade, all right? I don't know if you've ever experienced this before, but for every now and then, for all my guys out there that take out the trash, maybe some of the ladies take out the trash too. But every now and then you go to take out the trash, right? And you pull the liner out of the trash can. It's coming out. And unbeknownst to you, there's a can, an aluminum can, a can of corn, something in there, and it had cut a hole in the bottom of the bag. And you're walking and you don't even know it, and then someone says, "Oh my gosh, it's leaking." And what's coming out of the bag is just a week's worth of just like old soda and the leftover juice from black beans, right? And corn and maybe some like expired yogurt that you throw away. It's just been sitting there stewing, and then it falls out of the bag. It's this juice that falls out of the bag, right? And that's what you call garbage juice. That's what I think about this trade. This trade is actual garbage juice, okay? This should not have happened, and I'm not even a Cowboy fan, but I think this trade had to do with pride. I think it had to do with Jerry Jones. I think he enjoys being called the gambler. I think he's thinking about the documentary that's made in 10 years versus winning the Super Bowl this year or sometime in the next 5 years. This is crazy. Micah Parsons is now the highest non-quarterback paid player. I heard 4 years, $188 million. Shout out to Micah Parsons for holding out, doing what he's going to do. He's going to go to Green Bay. And I'm sorry to say it, Cowboy fans, but it looks like Green Bay is going to beat y'all again. All right. Doesn't matter how good y'all get. You just can't get over the Green Bay hurdle. And this is not helping. This is the same thing that happened whenever Jerry went and got Deion Sanders from the 49ers, right? It's like, why would you send them to the people, right? It just doesn't make sense. And here he is doing the opposite thing. It's pride. It's ugly. I don't like it. I'm sorry to all the Cowboy fans. I know you guys always think it was your year. It's going to be your year. You're probably saying that, but come on, we got to hang it up. Let's start working. Let's start working on something. Here's my last thought on this, and then we're going to move on to a little bit of fantasy football. What if this is the only way this could maybe work? Arch Manning goes, crushes it, wins the national championship, wins it all, right? Kills it. He's everything we think he's going to be and more. Wins the Heisman, NFL ready, declares for the draft, and now Jerry has 3 first-round picks that he can trade to move up as far as he needs, and he goes and gets him Arch Manning. Listen, I'm not a Dak hater, but I'm not a Dak lover. I would take Tony Romo over Dak any day of the week. I think it's time the Cowboys move off of Dak Prescott. I know this is very unlikely. I know this is probably not going to happen, but imagine if he has something up his sleeve. So I'm not gonna. My hate meter. I got a hate meter. It's at 90%. The only reason I'm not at 100 is because I don't know what old Jerry has up his sleeve. So I'm gonna wait a year, see what he does with all this, and then I'll see if I'm gonna bring the hate down a little bit, and I got to give props where it's due, or if I'm taking that hate up to 100. Why don't you let me know right now in the comments, where's your hate meter on Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys? For all you non-Cowboy fans, where's your laughing meter? 90%, 100%? Probably a lot of you laughing at 100% at this move. This is tough. I'm sorry to all the Dallas Cowboy fans. Congratulations to Micah Parsons. Green Bay Packers got something special. It's going to be good. But with that, let's move on. We got to talk about fantasy football. All right, well, preseason's coming to a close. It's time to do those drafts. Can I just say this really quick for those of you who draft before preseason? What are you doing? Chadun. What are you doing, right? Wait to draft. You have time, See what happens. See who gets hurt during training camp, who gets hurt in the game. See, you know what I mean? Just calm down. Like, you're too much in a hurry. Don't need to be in a hurry. Now's prime time for drafting, all right? Now, I will say this. I don't proclaim to be a fantasy football savant. My co-host Tyler is not able to be here today. He's pretty good at fantasy football. He's the guy that's like in 8 leagues, you know what I mean? He's got to draft every night of the week. Like, bro, you getting paid for this? Like, what's going on here? He actually won. Me and him are in one league together. He won it last year against me in the Super Bowl. I'm the Buffalo Bills of my fantasy football league, okay? What do I mean by that? It's not that I'm tall and good looking like Josh Allen, though. That's what my mom and my wife tell me. So what I mean by that is our league that I'm in, my primary league, the big money league that I'm in, started 4 years ago. And for the last 4 years, guess who's been in the Super Bowl? If you guess me, you guess right. Guess who has lost every single Super Bowl for the last 4 years? If you guess me, you'd be guessing right. Okay, so every season I come out A+ draft. I don't know that I've gotten anything under than an A. Like, I'm going to take a second right now to think about it. Yeah, I don't think I've ever gotten under an A+ draft, if I'm being honest. I don't think I have. And I come out guns a-blazing. Every year I hit a lull. I have a low week, too many people on bye. You know what it is. But I bounce back. I make the playoffs. You know what I mean? Playoffs? Yes, I make them. And then I do this run through the playoffs. I get to the Super Bowl, and I can't win the big game. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. So I can't help you with drafting a little bit. You know, I can help you with determining who to pick. And so that's kind of what we're going to do. We're going to do a short segment on fantasy today. We'll jump into more stuff next week when Tyler's here with us. We'll take you through our drafts because we're actually drafting this weekend coming up. And I'll let you know how I did. I mean, obviously, we know it's going to be A+, but you know what I mean? I'll fill you in on how Tyler does. But I do want to walk you through for all of our fantasy people. Maybe you've just jumped through the video. You don't really care about college ball or NFL news, and you just want fantasy tips. You've come to the right part of the video. And so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk you through my top 5 running backs, how I got there, top 5 receivers, how I got there, and then top 5 quarterbacks. And then I'm going to give you some thoughts on drafting quarterbacks, when you should, when you shouldn't. Depends on who they are, so on and so forth. All right. So let's get started with running backs. I'm joining the rest of the fantasy world and co-signing the idea of drafting Bijan Robinson #1 overall. Or if you're in a keeper league, that's the guy you need to keep. All right. It's great to see a Texas guy, you know, coming out and just in a few years doing amazing stuff in the NFL. So #1 running back, Bijan Robinson. Saquon Barkley behind that Eagles offensive line is also another great pick. Now, this is where, you know, it can go either way. If you are in a full PPR league, me personally, I look at taking Jahmyr Gibbs as the third RB. All right. If you are not in a PPR league, if your running backs are just getting you points based on yards and touchdowns, I think you got to go Derrick Henry over Jahmyr Gibbs. I think you got to make sure that you let the big man eat, right? I mean, he's unstoppable. He's amazing. I really think those are interchangeable depending on the type of league you're in. Now, if you're new to fantasy football, PPR, pass per reception. So if you get a point for every catch someone gets on the team, Jahmyr Gibbs is that guy who's explosive out of the backfield, but they love throwing him the football. They love the screens. They love, you know, the swing outs. He's the great check down option there in Detroit. And he's the man. If it's a full PPR league, I'm going Jahmyr Gibbs over Derrick Henry. So we have Bijan at 1, Saquon at 2. We have a tie for 3 between Jahmyr Gibbs and Derrick Henry. And right here, you're going to hear it from me first. I think there's another tie at 4 or 5. And the tie that I think is between Ashton Jeanty and Christian McCaffrey. Now, initially, that seems pretty disrespectful to Christian McCaffrey because you're comparing him to a rookie with no experience in the NFL who had a pretty rough offseason at some points, or preseason, excuse me, to CMC, he's CMC, right? What is there to say? You can't compare CMC to anything because CMC is CMC. However, he's coming off an injury. He's coming off missing a lot of time last year. He is getting older, as we all are. Why do we even say that? We're all getting older. I don't know. You know what it means. I think it's a coin toss. Ashton has all the upside in the world, really nothing to lose. I think he's going to run hard. I think he'll figure it out. He's a great athlete. But for me personally, I would put CMC over Ashton Jeanty. So it would be Bijan, Saquon, Jameer, Derrick Henry, if it's a PPR league. If not, then Derrick, then Jameer. And I would go CMC at 5 and Ashton Genty, number 6, first man out. That's the way that I would take running backs off the board. For wide receivers, I go Jamar Chase number 1, okay? And the reason I go Jamar Chase number 1 is because I love Joey B. I think, and I'm going to get to him a little bit in our quarterback talk, but I think like he's ready to just have that year. You know what I mean? Like he's had the good one, and then he's had the lull, and he's learned a lot of things. And I think it's time, and I think Jamar Chase is going to be his guy. Number 2, I go CeeDee Lamb. I've never liked CeeDee Lamb. He went to Oklahoma. He burned us when he played Texas multiple times. I mean, he's got that dog in him. Like you can't deny the dog. You know what I'm saying? He finds a way to get open. He makes the catch, and he's just got that swagger. It's hard to hate on what he does on the field. He had some drop problems a few years ago. He cleaned that up last year. I think he's going to be a really solid number 2. Number 3 is Justin Jefferson. And the only reason I have him at number 3 is because I don't have a lot of faith in his quarterback. I really don't. I was talking with Tyler earlier over dinner. He seems to believe in J.J. McCarthy. Not buying it. Not right now. And I hope I'm wrong. One thing you're going to learn about me on this podcast is I hope I'm wrong. I don't say anything wanting to be right. I mean, I hope I'm right, but I also hope I'm wrong. I don't believe in J.J. McCarthy. I feel like he had an amazing offensive line and run game at Michigan, and that's what he rode the back. And defense, outstanding, and you can't hold that against him. But it's not going to look exactly like that in Minnesota. He's got some dogs, but I put Justin a little lower. So Jamar number 1, CeeDee number 2, Justin number 3, number 4, I go Puka. Puka is one of those guys that I love. I love being a Patriots fan. I love the Danny Amendolas of the world. I love the Julian Edelmans of the world, right? They're just workhorses. They just get things done. And that's what I feel about Puka. He just makes the catch. He gets the yak. He does what he needs to do. And I think he's going to have some great production this year. And then rounding out is number 5, Malik Neighbors. Breakout year last year, just incredible. And I think he's due. I don't see why he wouldn't. I know right now, some people would say that New York does look like a dumpster fire, but I think he's going to be worth some points. Every team in the league scores touchdowns, passes the ball, makes catches, all of that. And he has done enough last year to lead us to believe that this year he's worth being a top 5 wide receiver. All right, quarterbacks, I'm going to give you 5, maybe a little bit more, but I want to be very clear before we get into quarterbacks about one thing. You should not, okay, listen to me, all you first-time fantasy drafters, all of you new fantasy football players, all of you people who just watch and you hear a big name and then you pick them because you see it on a draft board. Do not, with the exception of 2 people, draft a quarterback before the 5th round. And I used to say the 6th round, but I'm going to give you a little leeway because we got some dogs, we got some ballers here as quarterbacks. There are 2 people that you should consider taking somewhere between the 1st and the 3rd round. And the only reason I have to say that is because of the obnoxious, annoying person in everyone's draft is going to have this person that they know they're not supposed to take a quarterback that early, but they're going to. And so because they do it, it causes this spiral, and now Baker Mayfield is going in the 3rd round. What? Now Jared Goff is gone beginning of round 4? What? You know what you should try to do is just try to eliminate those people, and not just from your league, from life. No, that was a joke. Let's reel it in. But it happens every year. The only 2 quarterbacks that should be taken in the top 3 rounds is Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. Other than that, don't take a quarterback. There's enough depth at quarterback right now in the league to where in the 6th, 5th, 7th, 8th, all of that. I know I did those out of order. I'm dyslexic. You'll get used to it. You are going to have to pick up. You'll get someone decent. You'll get someone that's going to carry you along, right? Don't go get a Jaden Daniels, a Joe Burrow, a Jalen Hurts before the 4th round. It's too early. You need to focus on loading up the running backs and the wide receivers. I feel the same about wide receivers. There's enough depth in wide receiver where you can grab a guy in like the 10th round and he could have so much production in that flex position. I focus heavily on running backs. I'm in a keeper league. I kept CMC because that was my options. In that same draft, in that same roster from last year, I had Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, 2 top 5 receivers, and I let them both go for a questionable CMC because I think that it is harder to draft great running backs later and later than it is to do receivers and quarterbacks. Focus on your running backs. So for me, I'm keeping my first round. I'm having that running back. I'm going to go grab another one as soon as possible and load up on receivers. I'm not looking at quarterbacks 6, 7, 8 round. I would encourage you to do that. Now, if you're there, early round 2, late round 1, early round 3, and you see a Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen on the board, pick them up. They're going to produce. But my list is Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, number 3, Jaden Daniels, number 4, Joe Burrow. Like I said, I think it's his year. Joey B. Some people might disagree with him being that high. And then Jalen Hurts. So I would say rounds 1 to 3 is Lamar and Josh. Rounds 3 to 7 should be Jaden, Joe, and Jalen. Right? And then after like round 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like there, like early, maybe 5, 6, 7, you're looking at the Mahomes of the world, the Jared Goffs of the world, the Dak Prescotts of the world. I want to conclude today with saying this. And some of you are going to listen to me, and some of you aren't. And that's on you. Stay away from Caleb Williams. I'm not yet going to say that he's garbage juice, but I'm pretty close. 1 or 2 more bad games from Caleb. He's going in that garbage juice category. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. But that's my thoughts on fantasy. We're going to get way more into detail next week on some fantasy. We're going to recap all of the games from this past weekend, and then we're going to look ahead at the games that are to come. We'll also touch on some other NFL news. I don't know that anything's going to be bigger than this, but come back next week. We can't wait to see you, to talk to you, to talk about how everything goes. Say a little prayer. All right, chat. All right, family. All right, people watching this. Just say right before you lay your head. You know, my abuela, my grandma, she taught me that before you go to bed, say a little prayer, right? I'm going to ask that you do that too. Listen to Wella here. And then when your head hits that pillow, before your eyes close for the night, God, bless them Texas Longhorns. Let them beat Ohio State. And then you look up, give a little kiss, point to the ceiling. Amen. And then you go to sleep. This is the Fair Catch, a football podcast. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We'll see you back next week.